Tommy, thank
Bob,
you so much. This has been a long time in coming. Peace be with you, brother.
It's a pleasure, mate. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you so much for packing us into your very tight diary and attending our put together studio.
No problem.
As I said off camera, the point of this interview is we're just landscaping your political beliefs. That is the point.
Be interesting.
That's it. Just landscaping your political beliefs. There's, it's not about your biography. It's not even about your conversion. It's just talking about your political outlook. And the aim of this interview is to put to rest any sort of dispute about what you stand for.
Okay.
To get it all on record, so that both your enemies, and we know sadly you've got lots of enemies, and your allies can all use it as a reference point of saying, well, this is actually what he believes because he said it here.
Okay.
And the aim is to just try and explore that political landscape through different kinds of questions.
Yep.
And that's the aim.
Cool.
Ready to begin?
I'm ready, mate.
Okay. Let's start off just by an opening question. Can you name me any political figures or historical figures, cultural figures, who sort of stand out to you as personal heroes?
For me, Geert Wilders.
Geert Wilders.
Geert Wilders.
And what is it about Geert Wilders that he appeals to?
In fact, I'd say Donald Trump, I'd say Elon Musk. I'll say them for different reasons, but I'll say Geert Wilders because he has not budged on his truth. His truth that Islam, that Muhammad's a problem, that the Qur'an's a problem. He's never watered it down.
Yeah.
Even when he's got close to power and just been in power, still never watered it down. Now, what we see with some populist parties or some groups, as they get closer to power, we're seeing it now with Nigel Farage, they start weakening their message, start becoming more mainstream. Geert, and also I went to meet Geert at Parliament, and he has, I think, probably a group of 20 odd men that have to protect him, to shut roads. He can't live a normal day. I've just come down here now, yeah. I don't like, people keep going on to me about security. I feel like if I had to live under 24-hour protection, my life's over. That's how I'd feel. I like my freedom. I don't want to be, I've had incidents because of that, and I'm in risk because of that. But to meet Geert, he can't just go for a walk. He can't just go to the beach. They have to plan things. It's like a presidential visit. Yeah, that's what he's living under. And he's living under that because he wants to talk truthfully and honestly in his own country about Islam. So I absolutely respect him, admire him, and I guess he's inspired me from the start of my activism, because I watched him and thought, well, if he can do it, then I can do it. As I watched from the start. And I knew there were threats against him when he made the film Fitna. There was fatwas from Islamic countries. He had to be killed. He was banned from this country. He faced prosecution. In fact, 2010, I flew out, about 15 of us, we went on a ferry to support him. He was facing prosecutions. Remember, Geert faced what we've all faced. He faced attack, relentless smears, campaigns, and lawfare. And he was in court for labelling Moroccans as scum or problems or something like that. He was in court for hate speech and all these things. And now he's winning the election. So I am inspired by him. I'm inspired by Donald Trump. I respect Donald Trump and respect Elon Musk because they didn't have to do this. They made it. Donald Trump was the American dream. The Democrats loved him, the Republicans loved him. As soon as he stepped into this, he's then got half the country, well, not half, but nearly half the country, who hate him. And then he's faced the onslaught and the hate from the media and the attacks and the assassination attempts. He could have carried on with his billionaire life, just living his life. But he didn't, because he saw something greater than him. And that's the America and the future of America. Same with Elon Musk. He didn't have to step into X. He could have just allowed free speech to be attacked. He would have continued to thrive and gone to be the richest man in the world and send rockets up to Mars. But I don't think Elon will be remembered for sending, I keep saying this, I don't think in the future when we look back at Elon Musk, he's not going to be remembered for sending rockets to Mars. He's going to be remembered for saving freedom of speech. So that's three figures I absolutely admire and respect.
And when you sort of triangulate their politics, I think it would probably be fair to say that they are on the solid right of politics, possibly close to the edge of alt-right politics, maybe, with Geert Wilders.
How they're labelled, I don't know. I don't actually really know what Geert's other policies are other than they're against Islam.
Yeah.
I don't actually know what his policies are. I thought he was pretty liberal.
Well, this is the thing is what I'm interested to understand is, because it seems to me the thing that you admire about these men is that they've got character, that they've got courage, that they're willing to lay down their lives for a bigger cause. So it's more like a kind of like in many ways the way that you inspire lots of men, by people note your courage, and they're inspired by the fact that you stand up for what you believe, you're willing to be penalised for what you believe, but you keep going anyway. And it seems that that's where your admiration has
That's
come
where
from.
my admiration comes from. Yeah, I'm not talking about all of their politics because I don't know all of those politics.
Where would you say on the political spectrum, if you from alt right to alt left and everything in between?
Where I sit.
Where do you think? Where would you place yourself?
I done one of those tests.
Yeah.
I was bang in the centre.
Bang in the centre.
Bang in the centre. See, I think most people take things from the left and the right. I think this whole you're far left, you're far right, you're left wing, you're right wing, I think it's nonsense.
Yeah.
Because I think many values will be taken from this side and many values will be taken from that side. And I also think that up until the age of 25, I didn't care about anything to do with politics. And I think most working class people are going to think the same. I wasn't poor enough or rich enough to care or for it to make that much of a difference. And I didn't have an interest. I think 9 million people voted in Keir Starmer. 20 million people didn't vote.
Yeah.
Well, I was one of those 20 million until I was 25. And then I had a real awakening and a real experience, and I guess to understand politics. And then I understood media, and it's just I've had an apprenticeship in all of it.
Yeah.
But
we've all of us have watched that learning curve as you've gone on and learned to articulate yourself. And when you say in the centre, so give us an example of something that you would say you take from the right.
Say for example, I want small government. I want them to leave us alone. Just leave us alone. I want small government. But now I was talking about Vauxhall. Vauxhall left Luton. Well, I don't think they should have been able to leave Luton. I don't think they should have been allowed to take the plant from Luton to a foreign country to bring that, which is capitalism.
Yeah.
So, but I think no, they shouldn't have been allowed to do that. So when I was talking to someone, I said no, what? So they can make more billions? Yeah. No, they've destroyed my town. Yeah. And I think they should have been forced to keep those jobs in my town. So they were
penalised for leaving.
They're all penalised for leaving. It's what Trump done when he come in. But when I talked about that, someone said, "Well, that's left wing." You're like, well, when I was talking, they said, "So I don't know. I believe in free speech and I believe in small government. And when it comes to left or right, I'd say most of my values are liberal. I'm pretty liberal. I don't really care. Live your life. Do what you want to do."
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you maybe more of my thoughts of how I see you a bit later on in the interview. But in terms of the question of our identity, because that's obviously at the very core, or at least it appears to be, from my perspective, at the very core of how you go about your politics. What for you is it that makes a nation? What is the nation, and how is it constituted?
Culture, community, language, history, loyalty, borders. And I think all of those things have been under attack. And I think they've all been broken. I think that I've looked at Luton. I have to just bring it back to my hometown. Yeah. And I know that bloke who does the funny voiceover of me, who takes the piss. Yeah. He's going to do that. Every time I say Luton now, I think of him doing it. But I think that, so I'm in Luton, I'm in my hometown, and as migration has come in, it's broke our community. Do you know there was a boy called Tom Costello? Tom, if you're watching this, I'm still pissed off. Tom Costello, he'd done a documentary called Proud and Prejudice, Channel 4 documentary. Now, when they come to meet me, I said, Tom, I'm going to let you in. Yeah. But they said, we want to film with you for a year. We would just want to get to know you. Yeah. So I said, come into my life. And I brought him into my life. I invited him to my wedding. Yeah. And I just said, this is an open door. So when first time, we went up to the local pub and we met everyone, went in the shop, the shopkeepers hugging us. Everywhere we went, everyone knew everyone. And as we sat down back at the pub, he said, I've never experienced this. I said, what? He goes, you all know each other. I mean, everyone here knows each other. I said, yeah. He said, well, I went to private school. I didn't hang around on the estate. I then went to university. Then I've moved to this city for my job. I don't know anyone. And I said, okay, well, do you get it now? So this is our community. So if someone's hurt in this community, if a girl's attacked, a girl's raped, or something happens, we all feel it. because this is like our broader family.
Yeah.
But he'd never experienced that. And I think that's most politicians. Yeah. They don't get it because they haven't got that close-knit, tight community. Now at this time, and even with Tom Costello, I then rang up some Pakistani boys that I went to school with. I said, yes, boys, bro, come down. I said, we were at the Bird and Bush, which was a pub in Bushmead. They've pulled up, got in the car, said, this is my posh cousin from out of town. He sat in the car for an hour. We were having a catch up with these lads. They got out. I said, that's for your benefit, Tom. So you can see I don't hate every Pakistani or Muslim. Yeah? They're my mates. I went to school with them. That we have relationships. And as he went round, he met such a diverse group of people, yeah, from all of my friends, because I'm from Luton Town. And he saw all of this. And he went on and he made his documentary. What they didn't tell me is Proud and Prejudiced. It was me versus the main Islamic radical in my hometown. So they were playing us against each other. So they were filming with me and they were filming with him. Right. But they didn't let him know and they didn't let me know. And crazily, during the filming, he punches me through a car window. So it comes together on the documentary. But that I didn't know any of that till the end. But when we're talking about community, he'd never experienced that. And now that's changed because as mass migration's come into Luton and all the problems that come with it, everyone's started leaving and moving. So that same way you'd walk down the shops and you know every person, that's not there now. Yeah. In those estates, in those communities. It's been broken. Yeah. But what you then see, and growing up in Luton, we didn't have, the reason why all of our activism started really was after the Soldiers' Homecoming Parade, they then banned St George's Day. Now we used to mobilise every St George's Day as young English lads in Luton. It was our day that we'd all come together, football lads really, but we'd come together, we'd hit the back streets of the town and it'd be a great day out. And we'd done our own St George's Festival, we got a horse, we'd have an English band and a reggae band. For the diversity of the crowd, yeah. But we'd have our St George's Day. And they banned it that year. And when they banned it that year, it was after Soldiers' Homecoming Parade. They said racial tensions are rising in the town. Their religious tensions were rising in the town. So they banned the St George's Day, which was what really triggered me into, no, you're not. We'll do it. Well, now we're doing a march at the same time. So that was partly it. But we have all of our identity days have been, and anything that focuses on our identity, even at the schools, they don't encourage it. Nothing's encouraged. Now, so as I've then left Luton to move to the outskirts of Luton, and if you've got Luton here, around Luton, all these villages and these little small towns have all doubled in size. They built a new town called Wixham's, which people call Little Luton. When you drive through the village that my mum's in, they have Morris dancers now on Boxing Day. Yeah? Every one of those people have fled Luton, and the focus on their days that are focused on identity is huge. Yeah. St George's Day is massive in the villages. Yeah, because people have realised how important these things are for identity. And I think the reason why the English Defence League was such a success, some people may not see it as a success, they couldn't stop it. Until I left, they could not stop that group. They tried everything. They couldn't stop it because it gave back identity. It gave those people back the community.
I feel I pick up a tension between the eviscerating effects of globalisation or the dilution effects of globalization versus a response to that in terms of the reaffirmation of the local, the reaffirmation of that which is, historical. And would it be fair to sort of prism your, how would you see the state's role in sort of safeguarding locality, history, culture, borders, versus how our current state is operating in the sense of no borders, no culture, a neutral state that seeks simply to organise the balance sheet and to...
I think that in America, the children all swear allegiance to the stars and stripes of the flag of the United States, which helps encourage the minorities that have gone there and the diversity that's gone to that country to feel American. We welcomed all these other cultures in and told them all cultures are equal. You can create your own ghetto. We should have had, every school should be flying the Union flag. Every child should be encouraged to be British. Every migrant that's come in, my mum come here from Ireland, yeah. But most of my mates, we're all in Luton. Most of them are sons of migrants, sons of immigrants, yeah. But and I have this off the ethno-nationalists, yeah. They get upset. My mates who are black lads, they're English lads, right? They might not be ethnicity English, but to them, they're English. Yeah, they're English, and their children, say you go down 6 generations, at what point they love England? Yeah. So I've never seen, and Luton's football group has always been black and white. So I've never really seen the colour element to it. I've never seen it. I just see we're all English lads.
So for you, do you see an alternative to I'm taking a guess that you're against liberal multiculturalism as is, and if you are, please correct me if I'm wrong, but if you are, what alternative are you looking for?
So I believe, because I always sort of, when David Cameron said multiculturalism failed, it was the day before our Luton demonstration in England. I remember it because I think it was a nod to the English Defence League. He come out and made a big statement. We had our biggest ever rally. It was called the Luton Homecoming. 10,000 coming into Luton. Tensions were high. Everything we were talking about was hitting the newspapers worldwide. People were talking about this movement, the English Defence League. He came out and said multiculturalism failed. Angela Merkel said multiculturalism failed. For me, growing up in Luton, Islam failed. So I used to think it was weak and cowardly to blame all the other cultures and all the other migrant backgrounds, say Italians, say Bulgarians, say Irish, say St. Lucians, say Jamaicans, say Indians. I don't really, in my, line us all up. We haven't failed. Yeah, not in my experience in my hometown. Now, we don't have total black estates. We have every group, and I used to, and I can only talk about my experience. Yeah, I can only talk about my experience. Every group of black lads is with white lads. There's not that. That's every group. Yeah. So I used to say to journalists when they come to Luton, well, because when journalists come to Luton, I say there's a lot of black people here. But I never noticed that because I've grown up there. Yeah. I noticed, and the problem for me is Islam. But when they say there's a I used to say to journalists, okay, I'll challenge you now. You're in Luton, go find some Muslims with a non-Muslim. Just go find any that aren't selling them drugs. Yeah, go and find any Muslim with a non-Muslim, as in out together friends. You're not going to find it. You're not going to find it. That's just reality. Every group of black boys will be with white boys. Every group of white boys will have a black boy with them. Yeah, that's integration. The divide, there's never been a racial divide. Never. I've never seen it in my experience growing up in my town. The only divide I've seen is born by religious lines. Now, as I've gone forward, I don't think now, as I'm sitting here, for the future of this country, I don't think white people should become a minority. It's just simple. We shouldn't. For the cultural identity and future of the country, it's wrong. Just like it would be wrong for Nigerians to become a minority, blacks to become a minority in Nigeria, or Japanese to become a minority in Japan. Yeah? But per se, my experience in Luton, it wasn't something that really bothered me, any of this. I just grew up experiencing what I experienced. So I think that the community and the identity aspect, which is what we've now done with the United Kingdom, I think that when we brought all those people together, and I learned a lot. As I said, I feel like I've done my apprenticeship. I learned where I went wrong, where we went wrong as a movement. When I first went to Dresden in 2015, I remember I'd led the English Defence League for 5 years. I travelled to Dresden. I felt so embarrassed because I went to a demonstration there, 30,000 people. They came in orderly, calmly, and they left, and there weren't a bit of litter. And I used to think about our rallies. I think, Jesus Christ, we were a mob. We were a mob. We were absolutely, at times, I wouldn't say out of control. I think it's part of our culture. We are boisterous. We are loud. But at the same time, I watched at that Dresden rally, and my mate said this to me. My mate, he become my friend. In fact, I'm going to do a podcast with him soon. So there was a journalist who latched onto me. Spent 2 years with me. Yeah? And he videoed everything. He's got some amazing content. And he was sanctioned by the BBC. But when he went back to the BBC with what he'd found, they said, nah, you're not making it. He can't look good.
Yeah.
And he said, what? He said, I'm telling you what I found. This is the documentaries. Like, this is how it is. And they bought him and paid him that he couldn't use it for 3 or 4 years. So he's still got all this footage. But when he come to me, he said, we had the Tower Hamlets demonstration, which was just live-o. And we've gone into town, we're trying to get into Tower Hamlets for a long time, trying to raise awareness of issues. But I heard someone describe the English Defence League as a drinking club with a website, a journalist. And it made me laugh because partly though, it's why it was a success. It gave people fun, identity, community. It was a movement of people that all become friends and family. People had kids together. It was a mass movement. But then, say for example, at Tower Hamlets, my mates, we'll be talking, giving speeches. Half the people ain't even listening. That's the reality. They are now. It's all changed. Half the people there are there for the day out. Half a section of the people there are there for the fight. A section of the people are there for the cause. And it was a mixture. And my mate went up to people, this journalist went up to people and said, what was the best thing about what Tommy said? He said, when he said, send them all back. And he said, these people were saying things that you didn't even say.
Yeah.
They don't even know what you've said.
Yeah.
So when I went to Dresden and I stood and watched 30,000 people, not one of them even turned their head. They were all there. They knew why they're there. They were there for the right reasons and right cause. So when it come, and at that time I wanted there to be a movement similar in the UK. So I tried to get Paul Weston and Armoury and other people. I'd just come out of jail. I'd led the English Defence League for 4 years. My wife was never going to let me go back into leading the street protest movement at that time. So I tried to push other people up the front, and then I organised behind the scenes a silent walk, and we picked Birmingham Airport. Because when you march into Luton or you march into Manchester, you march into these city centres, it's the reason why our London demonstrations have worked. We're not marching near Muslim communities with what we're doing. Back then we were. So with the tensions rising and the left actively trying to wind everyone up and get everyone stoked up, the Muslims will come out and there'll be confrontations in the town. So we looked at Birmingham and thought, right, Birmingham Airport is miles away from any communities. We can, and as we met there under Pegida, probably 1,000, 2,000 people turned up, and we had a silent walk. And the Birmingham police officer, who's worked with us as a liaison officer for the whole of the English Defence League, as everyone walked silently in total silence, he said today was the most powerful thing you've done in my eyes. Because and it used to be frustrating. So I'm going to go back through this 2 years of footage because I remember Lee Rigby's demonstration after he was killed, and I remember my frustrations because such important issues. And I remember then this lad interviewed me afterwards, and it's like people were throwing bottles at police. I'm like, we've got such an important message, but all everyone's talking about is bottles hitting police.
Yeah.
I said it's just, and I was constantly battling the cause, the message, but the reason why the EDL was so strong was because of identity. Do you know how many people had EDL tattoos all over them? It gave them back what they've lost. And I think Unite the Kingdom. So as I said, I learned how to stop the infiltration with masks, what not to do, how to behave, grew up a lot, took it more seriously. When we're looking at the Unite the Kingdom movement, and this is where Christianity comes in for me.
I'll question on that later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because with Unite the Kingdom, many of these people who have had their communities broken, they don't feel part of something. They don't have that sense of pride. They don't feel they've been able to celebrate that identity and be proud of that identity. And then on that day, so I know by everyone who I've spoke to who comes, anyone watching this will know, they felt it that day. They felt part, they felt that brotherhood, that camaraderie, that family feeling, which we should feel. And I felt it in Poland. I felt it when I went to Poland. I remember standing at the front. And I remember standing at the front of the Poland demonstration, 250,000, 2015. And I remember the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. And I said, I can just feel power. I can feel something, energy from all these people together for a common thing, which I guess is what, as we get onto Christianity, which is what churches and. But I felt something in Poland. And I felt jealous. Come back to the UK feeling jealous. I thought, we don't have that. And then I had the 30th of June. And then on the 27th of July in Trafalgar Square, I felt it. I remember standing there thinking, I can feel it. I can feel that same feeling. I can feel it here today with these 100,000 people who are all here together to stand in unity for a common cause. So yeah, I think that is community. What we've built now with Unite the Kingdom, which is what the country needs again, which is what all of us need, because a strong community will resist what they're throwing at us. A strong family, a strong father will stop the indoctrination or what's going on within the education system, if you've got, or the gangs or anything. The strong family, same with strong community. So I think the rebirth of community, the importance of community, and the importance of coming together is an identity.
So imagine then that you're in front of your crowd. You could have a one-to-one seminar with everybody who's coming on the Unite the Kingdom marches and that entire patriotic movement, and you could just outline to them your political vision, like if you were just sort of giving them a political vision to hold on to. Describe that for us.
A political vision?
Yeah.
What do you mean? The vision of what I want for our country, what I see the future of our country, or
I mean,
what I'd love the country to look like?
What is it that you hope that the movement embodies, achieves? What is it that?
As I said, the movement, the English Defence League, embodied and had my identity, as in anyone can join, because line us all up, my mates. It's built off of that. Now, for me, I see a worrying rise coming from the United States of just ethno-nationalism, which I see growing here. Yeah, and I just went to a Luton game this week, first game of the season, and I stood with 3 of my mates there. Black Kev, do you know why they call him Black Kev? Black Kev, Sully, and Isaac. 3 of the best lads you'll ever meet. And none of them are white. Yeah, and from my point of view, so when people, because I hear people commenting, I think, no, fuck you, like. They're my best mates. And you know when I was in trouble in the English Defence League days in Luton, it weren't all white lads I was ringing. It weren't all white lads having my back. Yeah, they're my mates. I love them. So the Unite the Kingdom movement, the same. Yeah, I don't really care. There's a gentleman who just stopped me in that shop over there, an Indian gentleman who owns a business here, owns the shop, didn't charge me for anything, showed me love. I don't care if you come here as a legal migrant 6 months ago. Yeah, and you want to love this country, come along. Yeah, so Unite the Kingdom movement was to bring and unite this country together and send a message to the rest of the population that you're not alone. You're not alone. Yeah, but my key point of it was to unite everyone, because you know what I see happening, and I can see it happening.
But unite everyone to what end? What direction? Are you wanting to? I understand that you want a broad church. You want it to be broad for lots of people to get involved. But get involved to what direction?
For me, when we met together, the
small state,
the 50,
free speech.
So 15 of us met together originally, which was Lawrence Fox, Carl Benjamin, Mayor Tusi, Katie Hopkins. So there was many people come to this meeting, and the meeting was for this purpose, was to say, let's not talk about what we disagree on, because you might like Palestine and I might like Israel. You might like this and I might like that. But let's agree together on 5 points, just 5. What's the most important things to all of us? What can we agree on? British culture. Our culture is at risk. Free speech. Stop mass immigration. Islam's a problem.
Mass immigration, legal and illegal?
No,
just illegal?
No, legal as well.
Legal and...
The numbers are too much, man.
Yeah.
The numbers are too much now. It's changing too much, too quick, too fast. It's not... And so stop mass immigration, free speech, stop sexual exploitation, and LGBTQ plus indoctrination. So we said, these are the points that we think we should focus on. Yeah, and all of us agreed on these points. We spent 2 days. Jordan Peterson flew in for the meeting. Jordan Peterson flew in and said, what you've done already in your first event, and what I can see rising, is what we've been trying to do with ARC, which is a cultural revolution. Yeah. Now, which has
Jordan Peterson classically said on stage that the ARC movement is a conservative, classically liberal movement.
Is that what he said? I don't know.
Yeah.
But he said any cultural revolution has to start from the bottom. It can't start from the educated, yeah, and from the higher class. It has to start from the bottom, and that's what he flew in because he said, I'm watching what's happening here, and I see this is incredibly important for Britain because something's brewing, yeah, and that something still is brewing, and it may mean, like it's the same with the English Defence League. You'd stop the English Defence League, say, why are you there? Why are you there? You'd stop 10 people, and they'd all be there for a different reason. Same with the Unite the Kingdom movement. Yeah, people are there because they feel lost, they feel lonely, they feel betrayed, that mass immigration's a problem, Islam's a problem. But we come together just to say, let's agree on 5 principal values that we all agree on. And if we can all work under this umbrella, then we have a massive power because we have a massive reach. So whilst you're isolated and I'm isolated and you're blacklisted from the media and they won't talk to you and they won't talk to you, if we all come together under one umbrella, we've got a big reach. and we can start challenging. And then we worked out how's best to do that. So we were talking about what we should do best. Should we do stunts? Should we shut down Asda? Should we target halal? What should we do? And the focus was that if we change the culture, we change the politics. Let's give people back the sense of identity and make it fun. Let's have fun again. Let's make it, because it's not cool to be British at the minute. The kids aren't celebrating being British.
Yeah.
We need to make it so everyone looks and thinks, I want to be part of that. It's cool to be British. And rather than the youth wanting to convert to Islam, we want them celebrating who they are. So that was the focus in music, in culture, in art. Momus was incredible for this. So I sat and had done a podcast with Momus and thought, has a Pakistani just sat and give us all the answers? Because he sat down, I think he's a great man, but he sat down and he spoke about culture and what he saw as his vision, and I was picking up on bits of that. So we were all coming, Momus was at the meeting as well. So we're all at this meeting, and I think that the vision for the country would just, for me, is if politics is politics, but this is cultural. We have a cultural problem. We're losing our culture. And if we come together and if we change the culture, then the politicians will try to ride that wave.
Yep.
And I think that's what we've seen. And if you look at 24 months on, if you look at 30,000, 100,000, 200,000, a million, whatever, September 13th, and then you look at Robert Jenrick, you look at their statements, you look at Nigel Farage. Now, Nigel Farage had openly said, I'm going to America for my commentary and whatever media stuff he's doing. We held the 30th of June, 5 days after seeing 30,000 people celebrating identity outside Parliament, which has never been seen from the right.
Yeah.
That's never happened in Britain.
Yeah.
Those numbers and the fact that we managed to pull it off peacefully, very calmly, and in such a beautiful manner when bringing music change everything.
Yeah.
Bringing music change everything. And I think, which we can get onto, I think the introduction of Christianity, which at this meeting, obviously, Calvin Robertson was there. And there was a lot of focus as well on Christianity with the 15 of us. Because there's another gentleman who's fabulous gentleman, who everything, all of my documentaries, none of them would have happened without this man. Yeah, he's a very devout Christian. I've struggled with faith. Yeah? I've struggled all the time with faith. And then he's played a pivotal role. And he was pivotal in these meetings as well, and behind the scenes and working. He's pivotal now with Advance, which is why I'm aligned with Advance, because I align with him. And so he's been pivotal. And I think that, so we had these meetings and we had a plan. 24 months on, I think we've changed debate. We've awoken a nation. We've united people. Nigel Farage and Reform are riding that wave, I think. Not, as I said, Nigel wasn't standing. Yeah. Nigel's gone from not up for mass deportations, for all these things, to just changing totally, because he can see the public opinion there.
Yeah, he's definitely flip-flopped. So obviously you have centred Christianity in very recently. I mean, very recently you've become a Christian yourself, which we're all happy about, in the church. At least the real church, not the Church of England hierarchs. But you've obviously put Christianity front and centre of the United Kingdom movement and the Patriot movement. What role do you see Christianity playing in the Patriot movement, but also in your vision of Britain? So that those two elements.
So I think, and I just done an interview for a documentary yesterday in France, and I thanked France because it was the French, the Olympic opening ceremony. Yeah, that brought me that. So I then changed and said, a priest is talking. Get a priest talking at our event. Yeah, because it wound me up that much. Yeah, me both. It wound me up that, but I wasn't that into belief. I just watched it and thought, how fucking dare you? How you would never do that to Islam. You would never do that to another religion. You would never do that to another prophet. You would never mock it like that. And then I started asking, why are they mocking it in such a way? Why which is pretty much Satanism, I'd say. And as I've looked at all the evilness, and then I started going down rabbit holes and watching, thinking, well, if there's this, there has to be this. There has to be a good. There has to be there has to be the opposite. And then I looked at, when they take the word Christ out of everything. Yep. And then I looked at sportsmen who say something about Jesus after a game, and then when you watch the game, they cut it out. And I see a massive effort. And then I looked at Britain, and I saw the Queen. They said there's a question asking the Queen what built Britain. She says the Bible built Britain. So I looked at that, and then I looked at our history, and then I looked at where we're at, and then I was thinking deeply because I went to Poland. They haven't lost their identity. When I went to Poland in 2015, it was called a March for God. That's what the march was called. And on that march, there were so many symbols of Jesus, so much about abortion, so much, and it surprised me. But I didn't think of it much then. And then I think about where we're at now. We have no, whether you like, and I've had this discussion with Liam Tufts, whether you want to believe in Jesus or not, what built this country? What values built it? And what's filled the void once it's been replaced? So once you've took Christianity out of life, which we've done, you've took church out, you've took prayers out, you've took all of it out. What's filled that? Marxism, communism, LGBTQ+, new ideas, new ideologies, new movements, and Islam. And Islam. And then, but I've always felt betrayed by the church. I feel massively betrayed. When we started the English Defence League, every city we went to, the priests come out with them. They stood with the imams against us and condemned us. Yeah. And every time they've done it, I thought, no, we're your lost sheep, you arseholes. We're the lost sheep. We're the reason your churches are empty, because you are not in touch with us. Now, what the church doesn't have, which, Bob, you played an instrumental role in my view as well, because what the church doesn't have is young men. Yeah. They don't have... Islam does. Say I was just in jail in Woodhill, and a Muslim imam's come to my thing, and he come and he said, Imran sends his love, which was a kid I went to school with. He's doing 25 years. He was in Woodhill. And he said, Imran sends his love. I said, is he in here? Because I was talking to him 3 years prior. I said, fucking hell, man. But the imam was a lad. He's wearing Stone Island. Yep. He dresses like us. He talks like us. He's from the street. You see a priest, they're usually elderly, not in touch with the street or the working class. That's how I felt. And then the priest come to myself. And he was a lad. He was an Asian lad from Scotland. But he was a good lad. And I asked him, so when we had
personable, engageable.
Yeah, one of the lads. Yeah, so I could relate with him.
I mean, I do, Tommy, forgive me for interrupting. I do genuinely find the anecdotes interesting, but I want to drill into where you see Christianity as. What is it? Why have you centered Christianity in the patriotic movement? What role do you think it'll play there?
I think it's going to play.
And then what role do you think it'll play for the country?
I think for the country, I think that all of the values which are broken are Christian values. The family, all of these things, free speech, all of these points are coming from Christianity. And I think that if we, as a sense of identity, as a Christian nation and Christian people, and bringing them back together, I see that none of this would have happened. The destruction of this country, but I blame the church. I blame the church.
Oh, I mean, just so you know, like, I agree, the Church of England is singularly useless.
I don't actually think many of them... I used to look at the one in Luton. There was a bloke called Adams. What was his name? Adams, if you're watching this. You don't even believe in Jesus, bruv. You're a Marxist and you've infiltrated the church to push your political bullshit agenda. And I've watched him do it. And I used to watch him do it. I thought, you're not even a Christian, man. Like, when I'd meet him, and he'd always be condemning us. So I saw the church as problematic. And my Deacon Jerry, I still remember it. Deacon Jerry is Polish. He was a deacon of the Catholic Church. My mum's a Catholic. I was brought up a Catholic. And I went to the Catholic Church when the English Defence League started. And I said, Deacon, I'm struggling massively here. I said, I'm struggling with Islam. The more I'm finding, the more I'm struggling. And he said the Lord's Prayer, Our Father, art in heaven. And he got to the point of, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. I said, that's it. Yeah. That's your advice. Forgive them as they rape their way through our town, as they terrorise and slaughter Christians worldwide. And I feel like, even now, look what's happening in Nigeria. Where's the Christians? Where's the... Yeah. No, but you've played... See, when I say you played a pivotal role, because I saw you, I thought, who's this dude? And what form of Christianity is this? Because I've never heard a priest talk like this. I used to find in America, so I started then looking in America and hearing some pastors thinking, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's strength. And men want strength. And do you know Colin Dye? No, so Colin Dye, Kensington Temple?
Yes.
Yeah. So when I started the English Defence League, I went there again, searching all these different things. And I went for a meeting there. And he had a book called Unmasking Satan.
Mm.
Unmasking Satan's Islam. And I always thought the church were asleep, but I didn't see them. And he spoke to me about Jesus. When Jesus said, turn the other cheek, he meant hit me like a man. I went, what? And he said, it wasn't of weakness. It was to turn and...
Yeah, it's the insult. You've given someone an insult, so you're forcing them to...
You're forcing them to. So that's how he portrayed it. So when the pastor knocked on my cell door, this time round, I said, when Jesus said turn the other cheek, what did he mean? He goes, he meant don't treat me like that, hit me like so he gave a strut, and I thought, I'm going to listen to you. Yeah? And because I'd never even looked at the Bible.
Yeah.
I'd done my Holy Communion, but I didn't I refused to go to a Catholic school.
Yeah.
I refused. With what happened in the Catholic Church, it sickened me. I refused it. I'd never been, so whilst I'd done it for my mum, I wasn't interested in the Catholic Church because of all the paedophile, the cover up, everything like that. And then I felt betrayed by the church with the English Defence League. So I was going down this path and against the church. I just thought your churches are empty. You're so outdated. And then I saw this rise. You were pivotal in it. When I listened to you and saw strength. And then I thought Christianity wouldn't still be here if it was weak.
Exactly.
It
intersects with your whole question around identity.
Yeah.
You know, the kind of and I want to keep focusing on your politics, but ultimately it is the thing that you're being drawn to is a Christian identity that has a sense of itself, and I'm getting the impression that that's why, not only why you become that's a separate question, but that you see Christianity as being able to fill the void.
Fill the void and give us back that sense of identity we've lost, and it's actually everything that built us. Do you know when I read the Bible? Do you know when I started reading the Bible when I was in jail? I was like, fucking hell, every saying, everything come from the Bible. I couldn't believe it as I'm flicking through. I'm like, that, and all the different sayings, all the different analogies, everything. So as I'm reading through it, I was just shocked, surprised. But Steve, certainly, the pastor I met in jail, whose church was full, okay? Because I've been to other prisons. No one's really going to church. Yeah. The priest is out of touch. Steve was in touch, man. And he was a good lad. And I could see, and he cared. And he wasn't weak.
And the church in prison is a very alive church.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very real church.
Yeah.
You know, very much so. In terms of then you've got this vision where Christianity. Do you see Christianity playing a central role?
So Christianity.
Do you see Christianity being sort of like an ingredient in a mix of other things?
I experienced something on the first demo when a lad stood up and he had a sign saying Christ is King, and I watched the crowds roar. Fucking hell. And at this time I wasn't, like, as I said, I was just, and I saw everyone roaring. And then at the second one, when he had 100,000 people chanting Christ is King, I thought, what's happening here? Something's happening. Something happening. And obviously I was asking myself all these questions at the same time. Something's happening, because I don't even think that 100,000 people believe Christ is King.
Yeah.
But something's going on here. And then I looked at church figures. When I come out of jail, I started asking all these questions, looking at the numbers. Young men are searching. Young British men are searching.
Yeah, the quiet revival.
As they've lost their culture, as they're seeing their culture disappear, they're seeing their identity erode. They're searching for it, and as they're searching for it, it's come from. They're finding Christianity. Yeah, it's come from here. So I see something huge happening, but I also see it happening outside of the church. I see you can see by whether it be Ricky or the other lads who are baptising people aren't going to mainstream churches. I think they've portrayed us, but there's a rise in masculine Christian identity.
I think what you're identifying is liberal churches. The Church of England is a liberal church. You know,
I like the black churches. When I look at churches, I like the black churches.
Yeah.
I think I'll go there. Do you know, I went to a funeral, black lad who was murdered. I went to a funeral. Mate, it was a party, man, and it was so energetic, and it felt so great at a funeral. But I just think, when I look at standing in the church with an old 75-year-old priest, No.
So let's...
Because I think that Christianity is as important because of community.
Now, you said yourself that you've aligned yourself to Advance because there's a Christian who's also a part of Advance, and he's sort of drawn you into that orbit. So, are you signed up to the Advance political agenda, and do they see Christianity as being essential to their vision of a united kingdom?
They do, yeah.
And how have they expressed that? What do they see? Because here's one of the things that I
know that pivotally, I know that my friend, the Christian lad, is writing lots of the policies for Advance, and I know him. And I know that the one thing that drives him is Christianity.
Yeah, because the thing is, one thing that I engage with on this issue a lot, something that I'm very interested in, is that there's a lot of people out there who want to cloak themselves in Christianity and have Christian festivals, but they're not actually committed to Christian values or a Christian worldview. A
Christian life.
Yeah.
It's why I haven't been baptised.
Soon.
I want to get baptised, yeah.
I hope.
Because I want to. Because I'd say that I think that from that point, I think I've lived a pretty immoral life. A pretty embarrassingly immoral life at times when I think about it now.
Yeah.
And I think that, I've probably done a lot wrong.
I mean, we've all got history.
Yeah.
And that's the point.
And no one's perfect.
And that's the point of...
But I think that from a baptism, you want to live a perfect life anyway. I still struggle.
Do you want to see Christianity taught in schools?
Christianity has to be taught in schools.
Do you want to see the state being a So, for instance, we've got a state now that, on paper at least, is supposed to be a confessing state. It's supposed to believe in Christianity. Clearly doesn't. It's got no confession.
In the Houses of Parliament, you've got the Bible and the Qur'an in the same drawer. Which one do you think's on top of the other?
Yeah, I can imagine. But in the Houses of Parliament, you've got those prayers in the division halls. You've got those great prayers that are there that the Lords are meant to read and the MPs are meant to read as they go onto their divisions. But are you wanting to see a confessing state, like the state? Do you want like a neutral state, like you've got in America or in France?
No, I don't like France.
Or do you want a confessing state that says, like, more like Poland and Hungary?
That's what I think. Yeah, that's what we need.
Yeah,
we need to be unashamedly and proudly Christian as a country, as a culture, as our identity.
Yeah,
that's it.
And do you see any limits to that? Like, or do you think it should influence all aspects of life?
No, look, because some people are going to be atheists, but that's not a problem. It's not a problem at all. Some people will be other religions, but we shouldn't be promoting other religions.
Yeah.
We should be promoting our religion. That's it.
So it's a case of the state promotes Christianity, but if you're not into that, that's fine. Get on with your own thing. But
get on with your own thing, but stop telling us we can't sing Christian hymns. Stop. If you want to go to school, there's going to be Christian hymns.
Yeah.
That's it. There's going to be Christian identity. You can't, like as I said, I give the example with the English Defence League when they took the word Christ out of Christmas and six different councils.
Yeah.
It's like, and when they make these decisions again, that's not Muslims making those decisions. I don't actually think that they care that we celebrate Christmas. I don't think it's them that are trying to erode Christmas. It's some liberal, atheist, Marxist who is attacking Christmas or attacking Christian festivals. No other ones. You know, when it's Eid, like they actually in Luton they put other logos. So when it's because Eid was at a similar time, so they put all the Eid lights up with the Christmas lights. It's like, no, fuck off.
So let's get into the Islam question.
Yep.
You know, like, and I do want to encourage you to be bluntly honest. I know you've got balls of steel, and I know you express yourself fully, completely based upon what you believe. So do you believe that the problem is Muslims, Islam, some sects of Islam? Like, when you talk about the question of Islam, let's drill into it. What exactly do you say is the problem, and who exactly is responsible for it?
The problem's Muhammad.
Right.
It all comes down to Muhammad. The problem is the man Muhammad was.
Yeah.
He was an immoral warmonger, a paedophile, a rapist, a murderer, a torturer. He ordered the execution of poets. He tortured Kanana, burned him until he robbed his gold. He was a pirate. That's the problem. Yeah. Now, many Muslims, this is a difficult issue for me because I went through a lot of problems here because growing up in Luton, I know some beautiful Muslims. I know some wonderful men. But they're not wonderful men because they follow Islam. They're just wonderful men.
Yeah.
And even, I just said I went to football the other day. So I've got two brothers. I don't want to name them, but mum's black Kenyan Muslim, dad's Christian. Okay? They got taken out of the madrasa when they were brought into my school, when the madrasa started teaching their dad had the devil in him. Yeah? Because I remember that's when I met them, when they come to my school.
Yeah.
One would still at times identify the Muslim side of the family. The other one doesn't. But I still love that man. He's still a great man who would have my back like that, yeah, in any problem. But, he's not a problem. But he would still identify as a Muslim.
Yeah.
And many Muslims, and I think the problem is apostasy. Because if there wasn't that rule and families wouldn't abandon them and they wouldn't be ostracized from community and family, then Islam would have collapsed already. But because of that rule, many people who might not even believe in it still identify as it because it's part of this thing that glues them all together.
Yeah.
So I don't see Muslims are people. So if you think every individual person's a problem, you're a problem. Yeah. Because some of them are going. Winston Churchill said it perfectly. Individual Muslims will show great traits, personal traits, but Islam will always bring society backwards because of their belief on women being the property of man, their belief on freedom of speech. So for me, Islam is the problem. And Muhammad's the problem. It's Muhammad. It's all because of Muhammad and the man he was. He was an immoral man. The fact we've now got 4 million people in this country, maybe 6, maybe 8, that believe or are taught to believe from this high that this man was perfect. This man who, according to their scripture, not mine, not the Bible, not anything we say, forget what Christians say, forget what Sikhs say, listen to what their scripture says. He beheaded 600 people. He waged war. He spread Islam with the sword. Of course we're going to have problems. So when someone wants to be devout and practice the literal word of this book, well, they end up going fighting for ISIS. And when we look at that, we've had Muslim immigration to this country for 50 years. Now, my mate, who I was just talking about, is one of the Muslims that went to join the Royal Navy. Yeah? He's one of them. And after Lee Rigby was beheaded, I stood at our first demonstration in Newcastle and said there's 660 Muslims serving in the British Armed Forces. They're doing a lot more than us. Like, we can't hate every individual here. Year period of Muslim immigration, or 70-year period into the UK. Then over those years, in a 3-year period of ISIS, 4 times as many Muslims went to fight for ISIS than had ever joined the British military in 60 years. There's a massive problem.
Do you what? So let's imagine that you're in control.
Yep.
You do this thought experiment with me. Like, you're in control. You can fashion the state however you want. We've already established that you want a small state. You want free speech. Do you want any kind of limits?
No limits.
So completely anybody.
Unless it's unless it's incitement to violence.
That's the only limit.
Silence of violence, incitement to murder. If you say something insulting, so what?
Right. Okay. Where and people, you've got a confessing state. People can get on and do their own thing if they're not interested in that, but the state will only promote Christianity. Where in that vision of society do the Muslim population of the UK sit? And
well, hopefully they start going to church and they experience freedom.
Right. So you want to see them convert?
No, I want to see Muslims have freedom.
Yeah.
So Muslim girls in this country, I want them to be free. They're not.
Right.
They're not free due to the enslavement of Islam. Yeah? They're not free to wear what they want. They're not free to act how they want. They're free to behave how they want because their families are enforcing Islam upon them. Yeah. So where does Islam fit? Hitler's book's banned. Mein Kampf, it's banned throughout Europe. The Qur'an's not banned. It's celebrated and it's promoted by politicians, by Qatar, by all this money coming into the country.
So would you ban the Qur'an?
I think it needs to be. I think it needs banning.
How would?
No, I think if we have hate speech laws now in this country, well, the Quran breaches all of them. So any mosque promoting the Quran is breaching every hate speech law.
But logically, if you knock that first domino over, and it falls,
I'd ban Sharia.
Then there's consequences that knock on from that. Like when you say so. For instance, would that mean that you would ban Islamic worship? Because Islamic worship requires recitation of the Quran and it requires the use of
I'd ban Sharia, all aspects of Sharia.
So does that mean, for instance, you'd ban halal meat?
Yes, I would. Yeah.
What about the Sharia courts?
Yes, every. Well, if you banned every aspect of Sharia, there's not much left in Islam.
Well, that's the point.
There's not much left in Islam.
So
the European
so
court.
what freedoms would you give to Muslims in the sense of what happens if they chose, like, no, actually, I want to wear the burqa, I want to wear the niqab, I want to
No,
wear
I'd ban the
headscarf.
niqab. I'd ban the niqab.
What
I'm not
about a
bothered.
headscarf?
Yeah, let them cover their hair if they want to cover their hair. I'm not going to tell a woman she can't cover.
So there's not a complete ban. And I guess what I'm trying to tickle.
I don't want to be telling people you can't put your hood up, you can't cover your hair.
Yeah.
But you're not walking around in a face covering where you're only showing your eyes. Reason being, a terrorist left this country wearing one.
Yep.
Reason being, we've had murders, we've had terrorism, we've had all different things, crime. It's not normal. It breaks down communication. It's just not right. And I don't believe women are free to wear them.
How does what you're saying differ from Macron and the French Republic and the kind of enforced secularism that we've got going on?
Because they target all religions. Like, all religions are a problem. They're not. Islam's a problem. That's it. Don't blame everyone else. Stop banning every other religious symbol. I don't think there should be any Islamic society in any university in the UK.
Yeah.
Ban them all, close them down. Let people go to university and learn. But then some people say, well, ban the Christian one. Well, why? Christian one's not a problem. All the Muslim ones are Hizb Tahrir. They're all Muslim Brotherhood. They're all promoting an intolerant, fascist, violent ideology. That's what it is. Christianity is none of those. Stop trying to make them comparables. When people say, oh yeah, but if you do that with Islam, you must have to... No, you don't. No, because Muhammad said turn the other cheek and Jesus said turn the other cheek and Muhammad said cut their heads off. There's two totally different beans here. Yeah, there's a man of peace, there's a man of love, and then there's a barbarian and a warrior. So we don't need to put them on the same level because they're not. Muhammad can fuck off. Okay, Jesus can come up here. So we can worship Jesus and we can idolize Jesus. And on the Muhammad issue, no. That's it. Yeah, he's not a good man. Why? So when it comes to Islam, I think Sharia should be outlawed, and I think if we outlawed Sharia, I think then maybe lots of Muslims may start having freedom, even on issues, even on female genital mutilation. 55,000 British girls have had their genitals mutilated, and we've let it happen.
I'm just trying to tickle out where you would draw the line. So, for instance, like Sharia conceives of things like 5 daily prayers. Would you outlaw 5 daily prayers?
No.
So there is obviously some degree of Sharia that you'd permit. And am I right in I'm gonna?
I'd love to see Mecca Medina Quran.
I'm gonna take a guess, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that the dividing line is between public and private practice.
Yeah, do you know, like Sikhs?
Yeah.
Sikhs are very religious at home. Yeah? They're not out sticking on everyone else. They keep their identity. They're very religious, but they're not enforcing it on everyone. They're not asking anyone to change for them. They're not asking the country to change for them. They're not forcing the country to change for them. So they're not offended by everything.
So
and mosques are not houses of prayer. They're just not. So the last thing you do in a mosque is pray. It's a command and control center. Every war, every Islamic war, every uprising, every attack starts from the mosque. So anything in any of these countries, it comes on Fridays after prayers. So I think that allowing Qatar, allowing Iran, allowing any of these nations, any of these Islamic nations to fund madrasas and mosques in this country, to dictate what form of Islam is being promoted in this country, I'd stop every penny coming from those nations.
So you're looking for like a version of Islam that is adopted, that is adapted to getting along with the rest of British culture, and insofar as it does,
and if you want to go down that path, see you later.
But I just want to. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I want the words.
No, I'm looking to take all of the hate out of Islam. Right. The only way you can take the hate out of Islam and all the problems that come from Islam is to stop it. And then if you started stopping it, maybe some of these Muslims might think, well, I don't really want to live in Britain. Okay, sound. Where do you want to live? You want to live under Sharia? See you later. Okay, 1.2 million British Muslims want to live under Sharia law.
What about those Muslims that don't?
No, fine, stay and enjoy freedom. Because I believe the Muslims that don't will be the Muslims that don't believe in it. They're Muslims by name only. Yeah. They're cultural Muslims. The vast majority of Muslims, and I found this, which I was very surprised with, when I actually started my in-depth research into Islam, then I'd talk to Muslims I knew. They don't know anything about it. They don't know the crimes of Muhammad. They don't know the man he was. Many of them. So, and they defend, but they defend him. They defend him.
Yeah, because it's an honour culture. You've got that honour culture kicking in.
So they defend him. So I don't want, if you're a peaceful Muslim and you're going to work here and you're living here, no, I don't want you to leave. I don't have a problem with you. If you're a Muslim, and even if you're peaceful, but you wish to implement Sharia, you wish to influence Sharia, you wish to stop alcohol being sold, you wish to ban pork, you wish to have everything as allowed, sorry, go wish for it. I'll tell you what you can wish. Go to an Islamic country. Yeah? Stop changing this country.
What happens if you've got a Muslim who just wants to keep the 5 pillars? They want to fast during Ramadan. They want to go on Hajj at least once in their lifetime if they can. Fine. They want to, testify to their own faith. They want to give their zakat, and they want to do their 5 daily prayers.
Like Ahmadiyya Muslims?
Ahmadiyya, yeah.
Fine.
Would Ahmadiyya Muslims be analogous to the kind of Islam that you think Britain should accept?
I think there's certain sects of Sufism. I think there's certain sects that are less problematic, but they're not perfect. Even the Ahmadiyya Muslims. But the other Muslims want to kill them.
Yep.
The other Muslims want to kill them. But yeah, there is a Ahmadiyya Muslims are a peaceful sect of Islam that can live side by side ish.
Well, I mean, they eschew violence as a means.
Yeah, So, but
they believe in a caliphate that would still use violence to impose Islam.
So what we had in 2000 after 7/7, the British government had a meeting of 100 Muslim organisations, and do you know Harris Faheek? It's a Muslim gentleman, lovely man. Invited me to his house with his family for food. Lovely family. Meant what he said. Wanted to stop the problems because I think most of the people like Majid Nawaz was just getting paid. It's all bullshit. Majid's back in Islam now, but when I went to Quilliam, I spent 3 months at Quilliam. Quilliam was the British government funded think tank to counter Islamic radicalisation and extremism, and we had all these Muslims portraying they were the solution and fooling and lying to the public that there was an Islamic solution. When I went there, he was gay, he wasn't Muslim, so as I'm like, you're all just lying. None of you are Muslim. None of you are, any of the arguments you're putting across are not Islamic. You're coming from a non-Muslim perspective.
Yeah.
And then the public are buying this bullshit that you are a solution. So you're walking us down a path, letting us think there's an Islamic solution to this. There's not. And Dr. Osama Hassan, who's an imam, and he was the imam from Quilliam, a lovely being, yeah, a really kind, loving man. I don't believe Majid believed it. Majid was at the time wanted financial benefit, career benefit, political benefit. Now Majid's back on the radical one, in my eyes. He's back on the Muslim, he's back believing. He wasn't believing back then. I sat and had bacon with the geezer. Yeah? He wasn't believing. Now he's believing. He's back in Islam. Yeah? I went and met him last year with a few of his mates in East London, and they're back on their belief. But Dr. Osama Hassan, I said, because I really believe he was trying to fight for reformist Islam. I said, you're going to end up dead. One, yeah, because they're not going to let you reform it because no one's ever been able to. The last time someone tried to reform it was Abdul Wahib, and then that's where Wahhabism come from. Which is why we're so fucked. Because as they looked to reform Islam, you brought it back to the teachings of Muhammad, which is war and fucking violence. Yeah. But with Dr. Osama Hassan, I said to him, can I just ask you, how many people do you think you've converted this week to your form of Islam? 1, 2, if that. How many do you think have converted this week to jihad in the prison system, in the Wahhabist mosque, the Salafist mosque, in all the Lewisham mosque? How many do you think? You're losing, bro. You're not touching the sides. So let's stop pretending to the public that Islam or you guys are going to win this from within. We cannot rely on Muslims to sort this problem out because they're not going to. Right? It's been going on for 1,400 years. Not going to reform. So we need to solve it. And the peaceful Muslims, the ones that you will know or the ones that I will know, well, they're irrelevant. They're irrelevant. Why are they irrelevant? Because 1,000 children were raped in Telford. Out of a population, 20% of the Muslims were raping. There was 200 men. That's 20% of the men were raping kids. In Rotherham, 3.7% Muslim population, 1,400 children raped. Across this whole country, hundreds of thousands, if not million, rapes against our children. Do you know in all of those rapes, in all 85 cities now, the inquiry has found, that had these massive gangs in all these cities of hundreds and hundreds of men. Do you know how many Muslim men went to the police? Not one!
Yeah.
Not one! They're not going to stop it. They're not going to help you. 66% of British Muslims say they would not report another Muslim joining ISIS. Why? Because the Qur'an tells them they can't side with the kuffar over their brothers. Yeah. So even if they're their brother and they're raping an English girl, they're still their brother. Right?
I know that's been at the heart of your activist journalism.
Yeah.
You know, what is it? You know, what, like, because you are an activist in the sense that you're trying to build a cultural political movement, and you're also an activist journalist as well, and you pick up on stories that a lot of the mainstream journalists don't want to talk about. What do you think is the role of journalists, activist journalists, mainstream journalists in this whole debate? You know, or do you think that they are meant to be? Are they pushing an angle? Do you think the mainstream?
I think every journalist pushes an angle. I think we should recognise that.
Yeah.
Even us. Yeah. We push an angle.
And as you mean the new journalists, the new
journalists. But at the same time, so I done Phantom Rape Gang. Don't know if you saw it. Mohammed Rami, who was accused of rape by a girl up in Barrow. I went up there to nail them, the Muslims. I went up there. I went to his ex-wife's house. I've done so much research on him. I found out everything about the man. I couldn't find anyone to back up he was raping. I spoke to young girls that worked at his business previously, 6 of them. I spoke to everyone who knew him. I think he was up to a lot, but I don't think he was involved in raping kids. And then I found that the girl had lied. So it would have been easy for me to go up there and jump on the bandwagon and identify these men as potential rapists. But it's a big accusation to say someone's a child rapist if the only person saying it has a history of lying continually about rape. So when I went up there and found that, I delivered my documentary. Mohammed Rami, the Muslim, said when the MP come out, when it all hit the news, and he said that I went up there to stoke tension, and Mohammed Rami come out and said, he's the only person who come up there to clear our name. He was the only man fighting to clear our name. Because the more I sat and learned, I said, I want to just get the truth out there. Now, all these Muslim businesses and families were being destroyed. Their lives are being ruined through an accusation and I can't say that girl wasn't a victim of rape at some point by someone. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But I know that her word can't be taken.
Yeah. And
we can't see the destruction of other people's lives based on what she says.
And is the child grooming gang? Because I've defended you publicly. I mean, that's I often get attacked for the fact that I've defended you publicly. But the reason why I defend you publicly is because I'm from the north of England, and when no one, I'm not going to say, okay. But where, nice try. but when you know, when no one wanted to listen to my community, you know, you forced people to listen to my community, and from that day, I just made a point in my head. Well, he stuck up for us, so I'm going to stick up for him, and I have done ever since. You know. But well, no, thank you. You know,
Do you remember Anne Cryer?
What? Sorry.
So Anne Cryer's an MP, and I met her years and years ago. She is the first MP who tried to raise this.
Well, there was Jack Straw.
Yeah, Jack Straw was after her. Jack Straw was after her. So Anne Cryer was the first in Dewsbury, but her words, she went to the imams and asked for their help. And asked them to tell the Muslims that it wasn't Islamic to do this. Yeah. So when I sat there, I sat there with her, and this is on video. I've got an old video of it. I said, "Well, how do you know it's not Islamic? Do you know what's in the Quran?" She had no idea. Yeah. So she asked them to help, and they didn't help. Yeah. So she was trying to raise awareness, and I think Piers Morgan made a point in this. Someone else spoke about it. They may have spoke about it, but how many people in the country heard about it from Anne Cryer?
Yeah.
When unfortunately, when the shit got tough, she stood back.
Yep.
Jack Straw made the comment, Pakistanis.
Easy meat.
But he only done that 2 years into the English Defence League. I remember it. Blackburn. I can remember it. So the difference is, which I'm not the only person to speak about it. I'm not the only, but Andrew Norfolk, who won all the awards, in his words, Yeah, again, this is documented.
He's the mainstream media guy.
He's the Times journalist, and he's just died recently. But he's the Times journalist who was given the credit for bringing this to the world's attention. Now, in his words, he knew it was happening for years. So I know he's dead, but he's a coward, like the rest of them, because he knew it was happening. He refused to report on it. His words, not mine, because it was so politically toxic, and it was the far right's dream. Pakistani men raping young English girls. So he was aware it was happening, but didn't comment on it. The reason why he jumped into action was because he saw the emergence of the far right, the English Defence League. So he saw the English Defence League on the streets. He saw them champion this message, so he wanted to take it back. So that's the way he words it. Now I'll reword it as a spineless coward journalist who allowed children to be raped because he was worried about getting labelled as a racist, then wanted to take it back from the concerned families and community who were on the streets protesting about it.
Yeah. And so what do you think, like, so you, as a journalist, you've obviously crusaded on this agenda for quite a while, just like other journalists crusade on their own, like you've got left-wing journalists crusading on environmentalism and others on poverty and so on. And you've obviously crusaded very much on this topic, and all the credit to you for charging in there. Like, in terms of other stories that you would like to bring to attention as a journalist, what are the kind of areas of concern and topics would you like to speak about and you want people to know about?
The Islamic takeover of our prisons. That's something I'm working on now. Just had a meeting this week, but we haven't got a big enough team, so we need to do episode 6, which is looking at Labour's involvement in the rape gangs. Yeah. So we've done a 5-part series, The Rape of Britain. You can watch them at trfilms.co.uk. But episode 6 is Labour Party's involvement. I'd love to go to Nigeria. I think if I had the resources now, I'd be in Nigeria as well, telling the jihad and what's happening to Christians there, that people need to see and hear and understand that I think 200,000 have been killed, far more than were killed in Palestine.
Oh yeah, loads more than what?
Far more than been killed. But no one even knows what's happening. Do you know what? It's the truth. Go back, find our first ever English Defence League demo. When we went from the United People of Luton to the English Defence League, we went to Birmingham. And our placards, which you can find and read, Nigerian Christians, we stand with you. Because I remember that year, 3 or 4 Christian churches were blown up on Christmas Day. Yeah. Didn't even make the news.
No, never does. They only ever talk about it on Christmas Day, and then they forget it for the next 300.
If a mosque was blown up by Christians,
the hoo-ha when there was a Muslim that vandalised a mosque.
That's it.
And the hoo-ha that was around that, and the silence around.
And all the Christian churches being burned down in France, in Canada, here. In this
so you want to talk about you want to talk about Labour's involvement in the child grooming gangs. You want to talk about the Muslims taking over prisons. You want to talk about persecution
on the prison issue. So back in 2009, when the Islamic takeover was going on in the prison system, some men tried to resist it. Yeah, those men are currently rotting in the basements of jails. They've been left. They've been forgotten. They've spent years now on solitary confinement, and they've got fatwas against them. So I want to tell their story. I want to tell the story that in England's prison system, some English men tried to resist, mainly from Liverpool. Yeah. But they tried to resist the dominance, the bullying, the conversions, all of it. And for
forced conversions.
The forced conversions. They weren't just attacking Muslims, but they were stopping the terrorists taking over the jails. Yeah. And then the system crushed them. And the system. So like everyone. So you'll have a journalist who specialises in football commentary. Well, they focus on that. Yeah. So my special, when I started the English Defence League, I left Luton. I know loads of girls that have been victims of rape gangs and conversions and all this. When I left Luton, I travelled the country just meeting families. Yeah. And it was like it was harrowing, man. When you go from one city to another city and you hear the story of what's happening to the 12-year-olds. And do you know one dad who's in Blackpool? And this years later, he rang me. The dad, they took his daughter, so she's gone. Yeah, she's gone. Yeah. Right? The Muslim boys took her. They'd ring the dad. The father and the son would ring the dad, and he'd have to listen to them raping his daughter. Now think about this shit. What the fuck? And I'm listening to all this, thinking, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. And then I'd go to another family whose 12-year-old's been missing for 3-4 days, and I'd speak to the brother who was only 16, and I tell this story because it still lives with me. I went to Blackburn. I met the family. The daughter's missing. She's 12. They're all raping her. All the Muslims have got her. The 16-year-old boy's sitting there. The mum, the dad are there. Now we've got the demo the next day because I stayed up there. We've got the demo the next day. It's all kicking off with the police at the front. I've gone down to try and calm it. Who's attacking the police? The 16-year-old brother. Who the fuck am I to tell him not to attack the police? When I'm watching it, I'm thinking, they're doing nothing. They remember at the start of the English Defence League, this wasn't being addressed. They were still in cover-up mode. They were still letting them take the girls. Yeah, it was only boom when the EDL went bang that they then had to address it. That's when Andrew Norfolk ran the story. I was in jail. I remember when the Andrew Norfolk story, and I think they might intentionally have done that. I was leading the English Defence League. I'm sat in jail. I'm watching it from my cell. Boom! I'm thinking, fucking hell. I'm watching it all come out, thinking, everything we've said, you've all been attacking us, and here it is now in a government black and white.
And it's amazing how when you say it,
yes,
it's a terrible problem. But when the elites say it,
then do you know what they're all doing now? All the commentators, they're all seeing who can shout the loudest about it. And I'm thinking, well, hold on a minute, you were all condemning us for 15 years.
So you want to be a journalist that focuses in on you were just about to tell me as a journalist you wanted to specialise in, and then you slipped into an anecdote.
Sorry, I always do that.
I know. I don't want to keep interrupting you, but I do want to.
No, I want to be a journalist who covers issues that people find difficult to speak about, because I have faced all the attacks. I've lost everything. There's nothing more they can do to me. Yeah. So anything that's challenging, any stories that need to be told, I'm happy to tell them. So I want to talk about the prison takeover, anything that's a danger to this country and that people need to know. Yeah. The public need to know things.
Now, you say something like anything that's a danger to this country. Like, you've been on the receiving end of what can only be described as political persecution by the elites, by the state, abuse of police powers, abuse of the Anti-Terrorism Act, falsely accused of multiple different things. I mean, I know you've also done your misdemeanors as well. Like, that's obviously true.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't ever claim to be polishing my halo.
Yeah, no. And firstly, again, every Christian's got a sinful past. Every Christian's got their problems and things that they're going through. And no one who respects you or supports you is doing so because they think you're sinless. Yeah, no one's doing that. No one's under that illusion. We know you're not perfect. People admire you because you stood up for the vulnerable. It's because you've taken the hits and you've suffered for what you've done. But the question that I want to get at is, like, how do you view the state and the state's role in what is going on in this?
So the state are responsible for all the things I'm talking about. The state are responsible for every aspect of this, every problem. Now, that's the reason why they needed to cover it up, because if the public were allowed to be aware of the magnitude of the problem we face, whether it be the rape gangs, whether it be Islam, whatever the problems are, well, who brought them here? Well, who opened the borders? Whose policy was it? It's the state. And the state have actively... I'm about to do... I know Rupert Lowe's got his inquiry going on at Parliament. When I started talking about the rape gangs, when I started the English Defence League, I go to Luton Airport. I'm detained by Special Branch. Yeah? They then tell me, when they get me to the police station, we're now raiding properties linked to you. So what do you mean properties linked to me? They went to my mum's house and they went to my kid's house with machine guns, armed raids. Yeah? Do you know the police that executed those raids? They'd come from Yorkshire. Now what they said is, on the hotel room door, there's a little bit of metal. I've told the story a few times, but it's incredible. Yeah, there's a £30 damage on the hotel room door that they say I stayed in. Now, after the Blackpool demonstration, the EDL one, I went and stayed in Sheffield, and the police followed me there, so they know I stayed in that hotel. And they say there's £30 worth of damage on this hotel room door, and they use that to gain a warrant to raid both houses. Yeah. So then I get my bail conditions, and this is Yorkshire police. This is before anyone knows about grooming. Where's the biggest rape scandal? Yorkshire. Yeah? At this time that this is going on, they raid both houses. When they bail me, my bail conditions are I'm not allowed to send an email. I'm not allowed to be in a group of 3 or more people from the English Defence League. Yeah? My bail date was the same date and time that I was meant to talk at our next event in Yorkshire about grooming. Right? So they just fabricated a charge and politically tied me up. Yeah? I then put in a complaint through the IPCC, the Independent Police Complaints Commission. They just admitted it all. So when it got to after the demonstration, because I wasn't allowed to go, I wasn't allowed to contact people, I wasn't allowed to do anything. They tied me up. Yeah? But they continued to use these tactics. Now this was a tactic by the state and the police, 30 police officers coming from Yorkshire, to fabricate a charge. The manager, when I went through the evidence, once it all got kicked out, and I went through the independent police, the manager of the hotel told them I'd done nothing wrong. Yeah, they'd gone up there trying to find something. Yeah, and they said there was this criminal damage, which there wasn't. Right? They fabricated it in order to arrest me, in order to control me, in order to silence me. Now, when they'd done that, this is West Yorkshire Police. This is Yorkshire Police. Now, the officer in charge of Yorkshire Police. You have to understand that in every police force, remember, these police officers know what they've done. They allowed the prostitution and rape of a generation of kids. They have all got dirty hands. They will do anything to hide that. Yeah. Now, in those early years, they were crushing us. They tried to crush us. They tried to silence us. They tried to attack us. They tried everything. They threw us in jail. They done it. They arrested. My wife was 6 months pregnant when they come in and arrested her at this time. They nicked her. She's 6 months pregnant. Yeah? They put every bit of pressure they could. Now, at the time of the height of the Rotherham scandal in Yorkshire, the police officer in charge, what's his job now? He's in charge of counter-terrorism. He's in charge of counter-terrorism. Oh, have I just been smashed on? Counter-terrorism police. It's like all of these police officers, which we're going to look at the next documentary, all of them, not just the councillors that were involved, because many Labour councillors were involved, they've all gone up through the ranks. Yep. So anyone who was involved in allowing this rape 15 years ago are now sitting in high-ranking positions of power. Some of them are members of parliament now. Yeah. So the cover-up from the top has been pushed down because they've all got dirty hands.
And how do you propose, given the fact that they've, how do you propose that we change that?
Well, they have to face criminal proceedings.
But how? No, let's be clear.
Not the rapists.
How do you propose that we change that? In the sense of they are the ones in power right now. So if they're the ones wielding the power and they're in the village of the powerful, how do you get the village of the powerful to turn on their own? How do you?
So in Oldham, which when you get to 33% Muslim population, you cannot get the statistics because basically the people of Oldham, the mothers and the families of the children, were demanding an independent inquiry in Oldham Council. I don't know if you followed all this. That Raj Mir is brilliant. He needs a total recognition for everything he's done. Yeah, the Muslim lad up there fighting like on his own. Yeah. But in Oldham, so they're demanding from the council, we want an independent inquiry, yeah? And the council rebut them about 4 times. They actually dragged the family out with security, out the town hall of the council. Then they have local elections. And then people put themselves forward to say, if you vote for me, we will get an independent inquiry. Because Labour kept shutting it down.
Yeah.
Labour in Oldham kept shutting it down. So then they have elections, and then these people are voted in, and they win the elections. So now they're going to go for the independent inquiry. Now, this all developed when I was in jail at this point. Yeah? Then on the start of January, so Oldham Council now, full of these independents who are demanding an independent inquiry, they then go to the Labour government. We want an independent inquiry. Jess Phillips, fuck off. They shut them down again. So it's the government and the people with dirty hands continually shutting it down. So they had their election to try and get the independent inquiry, and then the Labour government shut it down. So how do we stop it? Get rid of this fucking Labour government in a political revolution. And it's happening anyway.
Do you think, though, that I know obviously you've tagged your colours to Advance?
I still
I think. Do you think Advance is going to win?
No, I think Nigel Farage is going to sweep it. I think that the country's going to back him, and I think that hopefully through Advance and through Rupert Lowe, he's going to be forced in his positions. Because understand this: when Rupert Lowe was speaking out about the rape gangs, Nigel Farage was telling him to stop talking about them.
Yeah,
he was trying to shut him down. Yeah. The mood of the nation has swung, okay? Nigel will know that. Nigel cares about Nigel. That's what I think, yeah? Nigel will want to be successful. I hope that when Reform win the election, in fact, I believe they will, do a proper independent inquiry. That independent inquiry has to have punishment. So all these people at the minute, the heads of police, the heads of councils who allowed all this, they're just sitting on their pensions. They're quite happy. Yeah? They need to lose their pensions. They need, if you want to stop it ever happening again, anyone sitting in a position of power who sees men raping kids, need to be that worried that if they don't do their job, they're going to end up in prison. Yeah, because all of these people who let it happen, none of them have gone to prison. None of them have even lost their pensions.
So there needs to be
Accountability,
and justice.
and justice, not just for the rapists. And when we say justice, say like Telford, 200 rapists were identified by the police. They prosecuted 11. So don't bullshit yourself. If you're watching this at home, don't think they've gone and got all the gangs and gone and got all the rapists. In fact, the National Crime Agency coming in Yorkshire, they've done a good sweep, because to deal with these gangs, you need to take it away from the local police. You cannot allow Telford police to investigate Telford rapists, because Telford police are working with Telford rapists and they've worked together for 30 years. We know that in all these towns and cities. So you need an outsized force to come into the towns, which is what the National Crime Agency have been doing in Yorkshire, and they've been smashing them. So you need the National Crime Agency.
So there's still elements of the state that can operate, but they're only doing it because they now have.
They have to.
They have to.
They've never done this. They're quite happy. They were quite happy to sacrifice our daughters for the future of their vote, for the future power. They care about power. They don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about me. They don't give a about our daughters.
I'm aware. It strikes. Do you think that reform, advance, anyone has the sufficient drive to sort of drain the swamp? Because it's not just, you've mentioned police, but it's also judges, civil servants.
It's the civil service is the biggest problem.
Civil servants particularly. Yep. It's people in child protection, the social services. Do you think that advance or reform have the kind of contingent of MPs that have that vision enough that actually, we what we're going to do is we're going to have a sweep away?
I think it's above them. So I think that coming out of the United States, everything is coming out of the United States. So what Donald Trump does and what their vision they're portraying for Europe and the future of Europe, with populism, with right-wing politics, with unity, with the AfD, with them not handpicking the future political leaders of Europe, but supporting them, that will give the courage, I believe, to people. So Nigel, we're watching him shift. By the time it comes to the election, a hell of a lot more is going to go wrong in this country. So people are going to be screaming for change, real change. I'm not talking about stop the boats, Nigel, yeah, because that's not going to address this issue. The demographic change in this country has to be addressed. It's what Donald Trump's now talking about. Yeah. Now, you couldn't address it without Donald Trump talking about it. But as Donald Trump mainstreams it, as mass deportations have been mainstreamed, as the Somali migrants who are causing havoc in America are about to be addressed due to Donald Trump, that makes it more palatable and acceptable and more tolerable for the British politicians who are going to come into power to do it. So the shift has been insane. I think anyone watching it, mass deportations, you couldn't say that 24 months ago. Now everyone's saying it.
Would you want Christians from ethnic minorities mass deported as part of that?
No, I don't want, no.
What about Jews?
No.
What about...
No, I don't want individual Muslims mass deported. I want illegal migrants mass deported. I want criminals mass deported. And I want problematic Muslims who wish to overthrow democracy and replace it with Sharia. I want them gone. I want the 40,000 on the terror watch list. Half of them have got dual nationality. They've got to go. I want any of them that step out of line in our country. I think we need to stop pretending it's everyone's country. It's Britain. It's our country. These people who have come from Pakistan, they've come from Somalia, they're guests in our country. You're guests. And if you step out of line, just like the United Arab Emirates do, they take their passports off them, fuck about, you're going home. Yeah, that is the policy we need to have. That's where we should be. So and when you start addressing that...
So when you, to be clear, so when you're talking about mass deportation...
Yeah, I'm not talking about deporting decent immigrants that have come here at all. I'm not talking about that. In fact, I'd fight for them. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm not talking about round up every non-white person.
Literally, because nearly everybody that I work with at Speaker's Corner, you know, like most of them are British, but a good half of them are migrants.
Yeah, no.
You know,
as are most of the people I love. Yeah. As I said, and for people who for the ethno-nationalists,
because the clickbait, you know, that the left would use is you're talking about mass migration. So I just want to be clear about exactly where you see the limits of mass migration. Mass deportation.
If you come here legally, I believe that if you come in legally, I don't know how long their visas are for, but I believe that the mass deportations is for illegal immigrants, criminals, jihadists. I think we need to stop all Islamic immigration. People say, "Oh, there's a good engineer from Afghanistan." You'll find a good engineer from somewhere else that shares our values. Okay, because do you know this whole debate? You would never, Bob. We would never meet if there wasn't Islamic immigration to this country. We would never be having any of these discussions. No one would be moaning about any other immigrants. No one would be kicking off. This conversation wouldn't be being had.
Well, there isn't an anti-Polish.
When we voted for Brexit,
anti-Buddhist, anti-Sikh, anti-Pakistani Christian, anti-Hindu, anti-Jewish. I mean, there's always ethno-nats who are always anti-Jewish, but like, you know, it is a fair observation to make that there aren't a cumulative movements building up to resist other religious groups.
But that's because the problems aren't from the other religious groups. The problems are all from Islam.
What do you think are, and I've only got 50 minutes and I've still got like 50 questions in my head that I want to ask. So now I'm struggling to pick the right ones. Obviously, you've been accused of. There's 3 accusations that I've heard being made against you that I'd like to give you the opportunity to reply to.
Okay.
I obviously, some of these I already know what you're going to say,
cool.
And I suspect a lot of the people that watch them know what you're going to say. But it's just to get it on to map out your political worldview.
Yep.
So 4 accusations. Accusation number 1: you're a Zionist. What do you say to that?
Yes, I'm a Zionist.
And what does that mean to be a Zionist?
It means I believe in a homeland for Jewish people.
Okay.
That's what it means to me. It means that they can defend themselves. It means that there's 55 Islamic nations and the Jews can have one. And it means that biblically, historically, it's their land anyway.
Yeah.
That's it.
Now the ethno-nats, who I'm guessing, would you say you're against the ethno-nationalists?
Yeah.
You would. The ethno-nats would then use that as an argument and go, look, he's in favour of a Jewish state for Jews, so why can't we have an English?
The Jewish state ain't for Jews. Israel's not for Jews. Israel has 2 million Muslims. Israel has loads of Christians all happily, peacefully coexisting. It's the only place where actually a 20% Muslim population actually works not too bad. Yeah? But it's not for Jews. In fact, the one man, so when they talk about, what was his name? We looked it up when I was researching. There was one Jewish politician who wanted it just for Jews, and they destroyed him. So when you talk about Zionists, he was a real Zionist, and they destroyed him.
The fundamentalist Zionist.
Fundamentally, but they destroyed him.
Yeah.
They fucked him, man. So yeah, it's not a Jewish state.
Yeah, not an ethnically Jewish
It's not an ethnically Jewish state.
Religiously Jewish state.
Well, religiously Jewish state. Yeah. There's so many liberals there, and when I went there, and the Druze community who love Israel, Christians who love Israel, there's Muslims who love Israel.
Yeah.
It's such a more complex issue, but just to make it a simple point, yes, I believe that land is Jewish, and I believe that they should be able to live there. And if anyone wants to fuck around with them, like jihadists, I believe they should be able to obliterate them. Yeah? And that's it.
Next accusation: you are a racist.
Just total bullshit. It's like it's.
But why? Why is it total bullshit?
Because I despise racism. In fact, the real racists despise me. Yeah. As I said, I'm actually like, there's just no truth in it. Like, there's certain things that you can get an argument about with Islam and my views on that. But racism, I've never spoke about race. I remember I went on a debate with Akala. I'm doing it again, anyway. I went on a debate with Akala, and he started talking about race and colour, and I was like, I don't talk about race or colour. I talk about Islam. You can be white, black, brown, yellow, whatever. So no, I'm not a racist. Never have been, never will be.
Okay. And then the other accusation is that you're an Islamophobe, and by that I'm going to define it. I know we're waiting for the Labour government's definition, and that's terrible. But I'm going to define it as, we'll give 2 definitions, and you can respond to each. One, that you're against Muslims.
No.
Explain.
I believe you should have. I believe, stop talking about Islamophobia. You should have rules, anti-Muslim hatred, maybe. Yeah. Fair enough. But Islamophobia, just total nonsense. It's a made-up word in order to prevent us criticising and telling legitimate discussions around Islam and the teachings of Islam. It's brought in order to silence us, to stop any debate around this issue, to put fear into people from talking about it. There's no such thing as Islamophobia. How come there's no Christianphobia? The reality is, Islam, what is Islamophobia? There's no doctrine for it. Whereas Christianphobia, there's actually a whole book. There's a doctrine of relentless hatred against Christians, and it's in the Qur'an. So No, there is no such thing as Islamophobia. I never entertain it, and neither should anyone else. I hear some other people that they've put it into the mainstream now, where people just take it that it means something. It don't mean anything. It means nothing. The word means nothing. There's no such word.
Do you think that people who support you need a bit of education to make clearer distinctions between Muslims, Islam, and between different kinds of Muslims? Or do you think that
Of
there's
course, no.
do you think that there's a problem
I think it could.
of people
It
who
could cross over.
support you who perhaps don't make the same discretions or distinctions that you attempt to?
I think it could cross over. But again, okay, let's have anti-Muslim hatred. Let's talk about anti-Muslim hatred. Let's not talk about Islamophobia. A phobia of talking about Islam. Let's not. The real Islamophobia, if there was a meaning of Islamophobia, the real Islamophobia is the fear that was put into the police from doing their job. Is the fear that allowed a rape a generation of daughters.
Yeah.
That's the real Islamophobia. So no, but I am against anti-Muslim hatred. If people hating a Muslim for being a Muslim, I always say to people and try to stress to people, separate the people from the idea, because I know
Sin from sinner.
just separate the two. Which you can separate the two with Christianity. You're allowed to criticise Christianity. You're allowed to mock Jesus. That doesn't mean you hate every Christian or want them dead. But with Islam, it's given this special protection that you can't talk about it. You can't talk about the Quran because you hate Muslims. It's like, well, I'm talking about a book or a figure from 1400 years ago, some wrong one. So I'm talking about that. I'm not talking about fucking Muhammad who runs a shop, am I? He's a bloke. I'm talking about an idea here. And every idea has to be totally open for criticism, ridicule, everything.
Yeah.
And Islam's an idea. A very, very, very bad idea.
Okay. What about, you're often accused by some people of being a grifter.
Oh yeah, I'm a grifter.
How would you respond to that?
Why wouldn't I be a grifter? So I started the English Fence League in 2009. So people understand my history. At that time, I had 7 properties and 2 businesses. I had a plumbing business, a sunbed shop, and 7 houses. Between me and my wife, I was a young, successful entrepreneur businessman. Yeah, I sacrificed all of that. 4 years of the EDL. I lived under financial restraint. I went through police investigations. I got fined £125,000, which I had to pay. Had to pay through bullshit court cases. Yeah, in order to fucking take everything. Yeah, so I went through all that. 2015, I get a job for the first time. So I didn't get paid a penny. We didn't have fundraising, crowd funding with EDL. Yeah, we done it all through ourselves. In fact, I funded in those first couple of years most of it with my own money because I had money. Yeah. Then we get through to 2015. I get a job as a journalist with Ezra Levant. For the first time, all of a sudden, I'm getting paid to do what I was doing. I've been an activist. Now I'm a journalist. Ezra's paying me. And people went on because I received £5,000 or dollars, can't remember which it was, a month at that time. Yeah, I was worth it. Yeah. I'll tell you what, 60 grand a year. People are going to want to kill you. Police are going to harass you. You're going to sit in solitary confinement. You're going to get attacked. Your kids ain't going to be able to even go to college. They're going to have nightmares at schools. You're going to be coming home to your family crying. Your mum's house is going to get attacked. You're going to do all that for 60 grand? No, shut the fuck up then. Yeah, shut the fuck up then. So I was worth my money as a journalist. Yeah. Now we fast forward on. I've wrote 4 books. Why wouldn't I sell them? Why wouldn't I tell people to buy my books? I'm unapologetically going to say, yes, I believe, bearing in mind I was made bankrupt. The mad thing is, they say he's a millionaire. I was made bankrupt in 2021, you idiots. I lost everything. I've got nothing. Yeah, 2021. I currently have debts of nearly £300,000. So people are going, oh, fucking hell. It's like, no, I have debts. I'm in debt now. I'm in debt now, £187,000 for legal fees. For the last case. So in my last case, when they give me 18 months in prison, because it's civil, I've got to pay their costs. I haven't got 187 grand to pay their costs. I haven't got it. So I work for a company who pay my expenses, travel, and people will say, oh yeah, but it's like, and then it's like, I think some people would only be happy if my family were in a total position where they have nothing, which is what the authorities have been trying to do, and they're vulnerable. Yeah. So I am very grateful, because the only reason why I'm here and been able to fight the way I have is because people have supported my family. Yeah. When I went to jail, thank you if you're one of the people who supported my family. Without you, I wouldn't have even been able to carry on. Okay. I can carry on and I can fight and I can do what I do and I can take the risks I can do. And if I got killed tomorrow, I know my family are going to be backed and supported. I confidently know that. Yeah. And then the accusation, so hope not hate the ones that push it, this whole he's a millionaire, and they get it into public domain so that then, and the whole reason for this is so people don't support your work.
Yeah.
Because the ability to work is only if people support it, financially support it. How can we fund a team? How can we fund documentaries? How can we do all of this without people supporting this? So they tried to stigmatise you and tried to demonise you and slander and lie about you so that people don't support it. So I'm not a millionaire, okay? Simple. I'm about to face bankruptcy probably again. Yeah, but I'm not going to apologise for trying to sell my books. Right? I'm not going to apologise for saying to people, if you financially support the company I work for, yeah, then we will do this. Or to say like people said, "Oh, you're asking money for the United Kingdom demonstration." Well, it costs £200,000, you dickhead. Like, how are we meant to pay it? How are we meant to put these events on? Now, bearing in mind, an average documentary, I'd say our documentaries probably cost about 50 grand to make. BBC costs $250,000. Yeah. We're competing as citizen journalists with the big boys, and we're outdoing them. Our work is better, our investigation's better, our content's better, our dedication's better, our commitment's better. So if I earn a salary, if I do, which I do, I fucking earn it. Yeah.
No argument from me. I do have one final question to end on, and that's just,
excuse my French as well, because I keep swearing, don't I? And do you know what it is? Because I just think I deserve to do all right. I'm sitting here 43 years old with nothing. Yeah? With nothing.
No one can deny the commitment, and the sacrifices speak for themselves.
He's always on holiday. Yeah, because I ain't got a house, you dickheads. Because I can't rent a home. I live in Airbnbs.
I get you. Yeah, I get you. I wanted to give you a chance
Excuse my French.
No, it's all right. I wanted to give you a chance to respond.
No.
So, final question, as we're departing. So it's a completely different change. How's it going with Jesus?
How's it going with Jesus? I need to do more. When I went to Israel, I found it fascinating as well. Do you know when you walk there, which I'd advise anyone to do? It's just do you know, I had a moment in Israel, which I'd say was probably the biggest moment for me. I don't know if you saw it when Christians prayed for me.
Yeah, I saw it.
I remember coming off, I hear people talk about the Holy Spirit. I think I felt the Holy Spirit. I felt, what the fuck? Like, what is that? And I felt something. But I'm not perfect. And my thing with Christianity is I like to know everything before I talk about it. Yeah. So I like to research everything. I can sit and debate anyone on Islam because I feel like I know everything about it. There's not one corner of Muhammad or Islam that I don't know. With Christianity, do I know every aspect of Jesus' life? Not yet. I listen. I'm a good listener, not a good reader. Yeah. So I listen. I watch videos. I've been listening a lot more to Jordan Peterson. I've been listening a lot more. I found Bob, when I first saw you speak, I felt the fire. And I felt, and I saw something, like, I thought, what, that? Like, I'll follow that. Whereas I'm thinking, so I always struggled. So with Jesus, I'm still on my own path. I'm still on my own path. I need to be a better Christian. By being a better man is being a better Christian. If you want to live if I want to be a good man, it's just being a Christian.
Yeah, I
struggle with that.
Well, I mean, just so you know,
not that I struggle with it, but I'm imperfect, and I wish I would have got baptized recently in the Jordan River. I will go back, probably to the Jordan River, and I'll probably ask someone who I've watched here to baptize me, because I need to wash away lots of sins.
I think
and I think being a better man, my son took it on himself and always has with Christianity.
Is your son a Christian?
Yeah, he's just got a big. He's only 16, so he shouldn't have done. And I was away, and I just got a picture. He's got a big Jesus, and he's got a big tattooed. I'm like, you're 16. How have you done that? But yeah, I think that my son always spoke a lot, even before. But I think that I'm on my own path, but I'm not perfect, and I won't want to profess I'm a good Christian because I'm not. And I think that to live a perfect life, which is how I look at it now, to live a moral, clean, good life and be a good family man is just to be a Christian.
I want to, as we close, I want to give you a gift. At the heart of the Christian life is prayer. And when you were in prison when you became a Christian, I actually bought you this with the intention of getting it to you while you were in prison.
Thank you.
But you got out before I managed to get down there. And to be fair, that's partly my own idleness. So it's a book of prayer, a book, morning and evening prayer. It's taken from the Divine Office. It takes a bit of reading to figure out how to use it. But once you use it, you'll find that it'll enrich your prayers. And
John, I was shocked about how many Christians there are. Do you know when I was in prison?
Your movement has always been supported by lots of Christians.
When I was in prison, it was insane. I was like, everyone's a Christian. Everyone who wrote to me, everyone who took the time to write to me, the prayers, the beautiful words. So then I realised, geez, there's an army of people praying for me, weekly, daily.
Might be why you're still alive, mate.
Yeah, probably is. Yeah, because I probably shouldn't be with some of the things. Even some of my own not self-harm, my own positions I put myself in, I probably shouldn't be here. But when and then the importance of prayer. And then,
that is at the heart of the Christian life. Yeah. Is prayer.
But we can get carried away, can't we? Because I can sit and think, right, I need to be this, and then I just get carried away and fucking tornado through life.
Yeah. So this is something to help your prayer life.
Thank you.
My gift to you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you very much for your time, Tommy.
No, thank you.
And we wish you the very best.
Thank you.
God bless. Peace be with you.
God bless.